So we just got the latest trailer for Pokémon Scarlet and Violet last week, and with it came the introduction of several new Pokémon. Perhaps most intriguing was the debut of Fidough, a peculiar puppy Pokémon made of dough. While it's not my favorite of the Paldean Pokémon, I couldn't help but be intrigued by this Pokémon's emphasis on being raw dough. It's squishy to the touch, it's malleable, just like real dough. It can be shaped and baked into pretty much anything. It's a blank canvas of sorts, for all kinds of delectable goodies. Kind of like the domestic dog, who's pretty easy to breed and turn into wildly different breeds, all of which have served various purposes across world cultures for millennia. Kind of like wheat and dough products. You see where I'm going with this? Well, my imagination ran rampant following the trailer, and I began to think about all the various forms that Fidough might undertake as it evolves. Not only because dough has so many possible food outcomes, but because Fidough's form is just so basic that it could reasonably specialize further as pretty much any kind of dog breed. I decided it was also a great opportunity to get the Tam Valley community going on some art, by asking you to combine a dough product and a dog breed of your choice in a clever way. Recently, I've been asking you guys to draw interpretations of prompts that I give, whether that be Pokédex entries or plain concepts, and featuring them in videos. Tons of you submitted awesome art over on the community Discord as part of the second official Tam Valley art challenge on this channel. So stay tuned for the end of the video where I'll react to all the Fidough themed art that you submitted. But for the art that I personally made, I came up with 3 distinct evolutions that are meant to act as branched evolutions for Fidough, all of which will play off each other in interesting ways, both on the bread and the dog side of things. But making the art, concepts, and Pokédex entries was just half the battle, so I enlisted the help of fellow Poketuber and theorist, Dusty Gogoat.
What's up everyone, it's Dusty Gogoat. The introduction of Fidough has convinced me that Fairy type is now the go-to for food-inspired Pokemon designs. And before you jump to any conclusions, no, these food Pokemon are not edible. What qualifies as a food is subjective, but these Pokemon are just magical creatures that are based on food. They are whimsical, silly, perhaps delicious, but not food. In this video, my focus will be providing context for how Fidough and its possible evolutions may exist in Paldea, or any other region, known or unknown, that Fidough could call home. This will include evolution methods, attacks, and abilities.
Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, I feel like we should start at the beginning when it comes to an evolution for Fidough. There's no main dog breed, of course, but let's start off with essentially the standard evolution before we jump into more wacky and complex dog breeds. So let's look to the most popular ones worldwide. These are typically athletically built dogs with longer muzzles and limbs, a high degree of emotional intelligence, ease of training and companionship, etc. These animals are kind of what we associate as the typical dog in pop culture, whatever that means. So let's base our first evolution off of one of these guys. Perhaps a typical Labrador Retriever. In terms of the dough, why don't we just do the most obvious thing and just bake it? Stick some dough in the oven and you'll get some nice crispy bread, warm to the touch and retaining a bunch of heat in its chewy interior. Hot, like a fire type, who are also known for their energy just like a lot of the typical dog breeds that we just discussed. So let's make the purest and most obvious evolution for Fidough, a fairy and fire type, renowned for its behavior, intelligence, and athleticism. Introducing Breadigree, the toast dog Pokemon. Breadigree is the first and premier evolution of Fidough, an athletic and friendly companion to many families and trainers in Paldea. Its coating is crispy and warm to the touch, and it can inadvertently burn its trainers if it gets too excited. It recycles heat from evolution into a hot and fiery breath to attack those that it deems a threat to its companions. Leftover heat is stored inside its body as kinetic energy, and trainers must make sure to give this Pokemon ample room to run and play as a way to burn off that excess hyperactivity. So between the buttered ears, bagel-like collar to denote its domestication, and ridges on its back, it's clear that this was meant to look like a bagel, a loaf of bread, a baguette, pretty much any kind of flavorless type of dough product, like it's the default form. That's why I also chose to retain Fidough's neck loop as the collar, as well as the spots above its eyes, here looking like slits in a loaf of bread, or perhaps sesame seeds on a bagel. I feel like the fire type comes through mainly through the concept rather than the appearance, as the other 2 evolutions I made are a bit more reliant on their secondary typing. However, I gave it some added flair with that wheat stalk tail, since many fire types like Arcanine or Flareon have some kind of puffy tail to allude to a burning flame. Keep in mind the secondary typing of fire is very important, since these 3 evolutions we meet today comprise somewhat of a triangle of type advantages, almost like a starter line.
So the first big question that I want to explore is how Fidough could evolve. Realistically, the yeast in Fidough's body makes this Pokemon sensitive to many environmental conditions, and its body can immediately change when it is exposed to heat. Fidough's gooey body begins to cook when it is burned in battle. But baking a loaf of bread is not easy and takes some hard work, patience, and skill. Just like maintaining a friendship. As man's best friend, Fidough will evolve into Breadigree when it experiences max happiness and endures a burn during battle. Breadigree will have the abilities Flash Fire and Blaze. As a fire-type bread dog, Flash Fire allows Breadigree to endure high temperatures, and the extra heat makes its flamethrower that much more stronger. Breadigree also has the ability Blaze, which powers up fire-type moves when the Pokemon's HP is low. This Pokemon is a great companion for starting trainers, so I thought it was fitting that it had an ability that a lot of fire-type starter Pokemon typically have. And there's nothing like the last bite of a delicious meal when this Pokemon is at the end of its strength, its power is that much stronger. Being part fire-type, Breadigree learns a handful of powerful fire-type moves. All of these are also specific to its dog and bread inspirations. Breadigree learns Burn Up, Burning Jealousy, Fire Fang, Fire Lash, which I misread as Fire Leash, Flamethrower, Fire Spin, Heat Wave, Pyro Ball, and Sunny Day.
Now, dog breeds do have a lot of purposes, but I'd say secondary to pure companionship, many dogs are renowned for their ability to work. On farms, gardens, and any type of rural property to this day, it's not too uncommon to have someone with a few big, strong dogs who can herd livestock, fight off intruders, or pull heavy objects. Now, a lot of these dogs are pretty big for obvious reasons, but we just made a nice big athletic dog Pokemon. So let's turn to some smaller breeds instead. Yes, many iconic and adorable small dogs have their roots as animals bred to work. No pun intended. There's already a corgi Pokemon in Yamper, so why don't we turn to the Dachshund breed, also known as the Wiener Dog. Its iconic body type and English nickname obviously make me think of a hot dog in a bun, but that's a little too obvious, and we want to emphasize the dough itself, not the meat product. So why don't we turn to another cylindrical doughy food in churros. These delicious items are popular at carnivals, food trucks, and sometimes even restaurants worldwide, but fittingly they originated in Spain. It's almost too perfect of a match. Introducing Churruff, the Sugarhound Pokemon. Churruff are much more reserved than Breadigree, but nonetheless faithful and perceptive companions. They're kept in yards and gardens around Paldea to chase off pesky feral Lechonk, and they can even locate and squeeze into tight palmy dens, thanks to their slender bodies and exceptional sense of smell. Because of this constant digging and frolicking, they develop a thick coating of mud and granular soil that protects them against attacks. In heat, this coating is sticky to the touch, to both Pokemon and humans. To me, churros were a great fit because of their emphasis, but not focus on toppings, as no churro is complete without some sugary coating, and perhaps chocolate syrup as a dip. I interpreted these to be rocks and mud that coat Churruff's body, just like these toppings coat a churro, so a nice way to add detail and show this Pokemon's connection to food without literally putting food on its body. This Pokemon also diverges from Fidough a bit more, but it keeps that same tone of colors and kind of lumpy eye design, which I think was crucial. Finally, that ground typing would be strong against Breadigree's Fire, comprising the second end of our pyramid.
Because Churruff is still based on a cooked dough, max happiness and a burn status will still be required to evolve Fidough. However, there's another ingredient that will yield a different result. At level 30, Fidough learns the move Dig, something that comes naturally to canine Pokemon. A dirty Fidough that knows Dig will evolve into Churruff if it has already experienced max happiness and currently has the burn status. Its abilities will be Weak Armor and Gooey. Weak Armor makes it so physical attacks against Churruff will lower its defense, but sharply raise its speed. Churros are a brittle food, so I imagine the rock coating of this Pokemon would break off, allowing this Pokemon to run even faster. And the Gooey ability is really a result of the mud on Churruff's body. Gooey lowers the opponent's speed by 1 stage when it makes physical contact. The sweet, sticky glaze of a churro is what I had in mind here. The mud on Churruff's body would help protect itself in battle by slowing opponents down. Both of these abilities are really all about speed control. And finally, all of the moves that Churruff learns are all specialty ground type moves that make some sort of reference to the dog or churro inspiration. Churruff can learn Bone Rush, Bone Club, Bone Meringue, Dig, Earthquake, Mud Bomb, Mud Sport, Mud Shot, Mud Slap, Rototiller, and Scorching Sands.
Finally, let's create a third evolution and complete this trio. We have an athletic and a working dog, so why not round it out with a lazy one? There are plenty of dogs that are companions taken to the extreme, with often very deformed faces, shortened limbs, and virtually, no survival skills, to put it lightly. Regardless of your opinion on these overbred dogs, there's no denying that they would make a great personality-driven Pokemon. I've always found the faces of these stocky dogs to be very memorable, whether it be a French Bulldog, Shih Tzu, Maltese, or Pug. I think it's a great fit for a chunky lapdog Pokemon, one that perhaps draws on the more hefty, doughy, puffy foods like cupcakes, tres leche, shortbread, cinnamon rolls, or just desserts in general. Introducing Pupcake, the Frost Puppy Pokemon. Pupcake are the newest breed of Fidough-volutions typically reserved for the most wealthy of individuals in Paldea. They're extremely lazy and they avoid moving, choosing instead to lounge on the laps of senior citizens and socialites. They're slow to move and they have poor eyesight, but in rare instances where they're forced to combat, they emit a powerful breath. It's freezing cold and it can disorient foes due to the temperature and the sweet smell. It can also be used for cooking, but Pupcake can rarely be bothered to help out. It was initially hard to find a type match for these Pokemon, especially since I drew it typeless at first, and I was worried it would look too similar to Slurpuff, with the exaggerated folds, puffs, and roundness as a fairy type. However, I think Ice works out well because of that connection to frosting as a word. Plus the fact that of anything that you eat with an oven-warmed cake or dessert, the sugary frosting, fondant, or cream on top is often much colder out of the fridge as you add it last. This seems to work well and it rounds out our trio, where Pupcake's Ice-type Frost Breath beats Churruff's Ground-type Dusty Hide, which in turn beats Bredigree's Fire-type Toasty Interior. Triangle complete.
Again, Pupcake is still based on a cooked food, so max happiness in a burn status will still be required to evolve Fidough. This time, the move Frost Breath is the secret ingredient to evolve Fidough. If you manage to train your Fidough to level 40 without already evolving it, Fidough learns the move Frost Breath. Canine Pokemon tend to have a very powerful breath, and Fidough is no exception. Like a live yeast, this chilling move activates something within Fidough. With max happiness, the move Frost Breath in a burn status to cook its body, Fidough evolves into Pupcake. Pupcake's two abilities will either be Fluffy or Refrigerate. Fluffy halves the damage taken from moves that make direct contact, but doubles that of Fire-type moves. Cupcakes look great prepared, but will start to melt if you heat them up for too long. And the Refrigerate ability makes normal type moves become ice type moves. The power of those moves are also boosted a little bit. This ability complements Pupcake's ice type, but also a refrigerator is the perfect place for leftover baked sweets. Pupcake learns the following powerful ice type moves: Frost Breath, Hail, Ice Ball, Ice Fang, Ice Beam, and Ice Burn. Even though this Pokemon is ice type, it still had to be cooked in some way, so I like to imagine that it still has access to some fire type moves. Ice Burn is extremely powerful, but I like the contrast of fire and ice.
So there you have it. 3 Pokemon that I can envision as reasonable evolutions to Fidough, especially if they embrace the endless possibilities of dough foods and dog breeds through a return to branched evolutions. And before we call it a day, let's check out all the art that you guys created for the second official art challenge. Here's Pupzarella from Some Random Doggo, a clever name and a neat inclusion of a wishy-washy and fungus on the legs to act as pizza toppings, and a cute husky themed design. Pretty neat. This one from Nye is called Mastiflore, I suppose a mastiff combined with Flores de Holaldre. I'm sorry for the pronunciation, which I found out is a pretty yummy looking puff pastry from Spain. I love learning about random trivia from all of you. Another awesome way to tie in local flair and a very cute design. I also love the typing, which is Grass Fairy with Water Absorb as an ability. This spooky design comes from Sassafrascinid, who explains that the rabies-like foam around the mouth is actually yeast, which took over upon evolution. It's a very unique design with lots of personality, and a great way to iterate upon what we already know about Fidough. Here's the very French briochon from T. Donahue 88, an adorable brioche bichon frise. If Fidough only has one evolution, I suspect it would look something like this, a very cute baked goods oriented form that's rendered expertly in the Sugimori style. The potato tells us that this is Mastarina, a Spanish Mastiff based off of harina, which is Spanish for flour, and it's a very normal type. The potato says it has a tortilla on its back, and I absolutely love how it almost looks like a cooking apron. It's a very friendly looking Pokemon who definitely fits in a culinary setting. Lil Rolls gives us this adorable donut dog. The donut ring is a great way of incorporating Fidough's neck bib sort of thing, and it just looks so cute on a squishy little pug-inspired Pokemon. Zach Gunna Slay gives us a split evolution the same way I did, all of which are very neat. This first one is Puggle, a sumo wrestler mixed with a crescent dog, or a pig in a blanket. Pretty neat how the folds in the blanket part almost look like the cloth of a wrestling singlet. The second one is Feybred, apparently a shortbred mixed with a corgi, a great way to match two similar body types. The third one, Moldog, almost looks like an older version of Feybred, a pretty cool use of mold and mushrooms on a non-plant based Pokemon. It's really unsettling, but still somehow kinda cute. All three of these have tons of personality. This one is from Henry, a combination of a Catalan sheepdog, fried dough, and shusho, an amazing way of combining three local things to create a very unique looking big dog. I found it interesting how many of you, me included, chose to have elaborate head decorations to obscure the eyes on some of these fluffy dogmons, which I think is a great touch, and it gives them a lot of personality, especially here on Fidough. And finally, Alien Boy gives us another one that I'd say looks pretty close to what I'd expect from a real-life evolution to Fidough, a pretty adorable yellow puff pastry type dogmon that also has sheep and big cat elements, to me at least. That ambiguity does a whole lot for this one, and I'd say it's a really successful design. All of you contributed such amazing art, so thank you for that. It was a blast to go through the Discord channel when editing this video, and getting a chance to recognize and celebrate your creativity and your hard work. If you want to participate in a future Tam Valley Art Challenge, go ahead and join the Discord with the link right down below. It's an awesome community for submitting art, talking about Pokemon theories, and sometimes helping me brainstorm future video ideas. Also, be sure to join the official Tam Valley Patreon that I launched recently if you want to support the channel further. It helps me and the channel out so much, and you can get some pretty awesome rewards, ranging from Discord perks to a shout out in videos, and even a custom Fakemon commission directly from me. So I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Fidough and the potential for its many, many evolutions, all based off of dogs. A big thank you to Dusty Gogoat for hopping on and enriching the video through his expert analysis and theories on Pokemon and Paldea. If you want more of that kind of content, go check out his channel, which is also linked below. He's got tons of awesome speculation and theories on rumors, leaks, and even completely original ideas leading up to the release of Scarlet and Violet. It's a must-see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.